Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's an honor for me to come before you all today to introduce not only a former boss but a friend, Sheriff Cullen Talton. I want to say one thing. I policed in Houston County as Chief Deputy Sheriff for 33 years, along with him. And people, and I want you all, the members of the House, to look at us real close. And you all can see the resembles. People, when I was first hired, I was hired from the Warner Robin Police Department, and when the sheriff was elected, he hired me as his chief investigator. And the people in the county would say that was just like a politician. As soon as he get elected, he would give his family a good job. So we started telling people that when they would meet us and they would say, call us the Talton bunch. Well, I would tell them that he was the inside child and I was the outside child because he was the mama's boy and I had to work. But I had an honorable time to work with him, and it's a pleasure. We never know what time is going to bring us, and I didn't ever have any idea that I would ever be here doing this. But it's given me great pleasure to introduce him for a man who have spent a lot of years, 40 plus years, as the chief law enforcement officer of the county. And just like I said, he was more than a boss, but he was a friend of mine. We had a lot of good times and a lot of war stories, and some of them we can't share. But I do want the clerk to read this proclamation.
Whereas Sheriff Cullen Talton has served honorably and with distinction as Sheriff of the Houston County and as one of the 159 members of the Georgia Sheriff Association since January 1st, 1973. And whereas throughout his career as Sheriff of Houston County, Sheriff Talton has been an active member of the Board of Directors of the Georgia Sheriff's Youth Homes, which has provided safe and wholesome homes for many thousands of Georgia's abused, abandoned, and neglected children since its beginning in 1959. And whereas Sheriff Talton's dedication to children in need remains evident throughout his continued participation as a member of this important governing board and for his fundraising efforts, in which he and many supporters in the Houston County area have raised nearly $250,000 for many deserving children over the past few years. And whereas he's a recipient of the Liberty Bell Award, which is given by bar associations across the United States to recognize special people in their communities. And whereas a native of Bon Air, Georgia, Sheriff Talton has served 29 years as Sheriff of Houston County and 6 years as County Commissioner. And whereas serving his community as a law enforcement officer, he also maintained a personal life that deems recognition as well. And whereas Sheriff Talton married his high school sweetheart, Peggy Sears, with whom he raised 4 children, Caroline, Patty, Cully, and Neil. And whereas as a devout member of Bon Air United Methodist Church, keeping his faith as the focal point of his life has been a top priority. And whereas Sheriff Talton is a member of many civic organizations and has received an abundance of awards for civic work over the past 35 years. And whereas he's a member of the Sheriff's Association, the National Sheriff's Association, and his pet project is serving on the board of Georgia Sheriff's Boys Ranch in Haley-Hira. And whereas Sheriff Talton has been honored as Georgia Sheriff of the Year and has received the Warner Robins Houston County Chamber of Commerce Good Government Service Award. And whereas he serves as a board member of the State Department of Corrections and is a chairman of the Board of Security Bank in Houston County. And whereas it is abundantly fitting and proper that the outstanding accomplishments of this remarkable and distinguished Georgian be appropriately recognized. Now therefore be it resolved by the House of Representatives that the member of this body recognize and commend Houston County Sheriff Cullen Talton for his service to the state of Georgia and invite him to be recognized by the House of Representatives at a date and time to be determined by the Speaker of the House.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. And before the sheriff come, that was 40-plus years as sheriff of Houston County. He said 29, I think. But before the sheriff come, I also would like to introduce one of his children, Neil Talton, and the young fellow that took my place as chief deputy sheriff, William H. Rape, which is a good friend of mine, and also I worked for his father. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, members, ladies and gentlemen of the House, I want to tell you how much I appreciate this honor. Willie called me several weeks ago and told me that he wanted me to come up to the Capitol and be recognized. Willie and I go way back. Willie was one of the first people that I hired. And like Willie said, a lot of people said, I knew damn well Cullen hired some of his kinfolks when he got elected. And another thing, when I made Willie my chief deputy, I had several people call me and said, do you think you're doing the right thing by putting Willie Talton as your chief deputy? I said, well, I'm going to give him something to talk about at the coffee cup. but Willie and I have had a long relationship, along with Billy Rape, and the men and women who make up my department have made me look good. They have kept me in office. I'm in my 42nd year, and I appreciate that very much. And I'm honored to be here today, and I want to thank you all very much for recognizing me. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, sir. Good to see you again.